I have to admit that when I first saw those opening titles displaying the Generation Iron logo, I died a little bit inside.
It's true.
Based on previous offerings from the Generation Iron polished turd catalogue, I didn't hold high hopes that this was going to be a film doing justice to Golden Era bodybuilder Tony Pearson's book, or life story. There's that old saying that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but there's also the counterpoint that while water hardens the egg, it often softens the potato. While adversity and trauma crushes some, it motivates and drives others towards success. I didn't know much about Tony Pearson beforehand. He was always one of those minor characters peripheral to the main stars in the magazines back in the day. Also known as the Jet Man and the Michael Jackson of bodybuilding. With his unique posing and those otherworldly bat wings, the wasp waist and the next level vacuum, Pearson carved out his own legacy in the bodybuilding pantheon. Both the book and the film titled Driven are a great way to fill in the gaps of the little-known and underrated Pearson. It paints a vivid depiction of Tony's life story, capturing the inspiring traits that lifted him out of the living hell of his early years, driving him towards his dreams of bodybuilding greatness. The book focuses more on the gut-wrenching details of his childhood origin story and ends with Tony competing at the 1978 Mr. America contest. The film extends the timeline even further, following Tony's journey up until his participation in the 2020 AAU Masters Mr. Universe. Abandoned by his father at the age of 3 to live with a horribly abusive aunt, Tony's unimaginable childhood was spent picking cotton in the blistering hot and unforgiving fields of Tennessee. Confined to a rundown shack that served as his prison for over a decade, only occasional visits to a neighbour to watch Martin Luther King's speeches inspired Tony with any dreams or hope of a better tomorrow. Delivered from the hellish existence years later, Tony envisioned a larger escape from his dire circumstances through athletic pursuits. Many would have collapsed under the traumatic early start to life, but Tony never resorts to blame or victimhood. He reframes these formative experiences as something that built an unbeatable work ethic, giving him the strength and fortitude for hard training and the resilience needed for grueling contest preparations. In an early twist of fate, Tony injured his leg at a high school wrestling match, leading him to being rejected by the Marines and into one of the best gyms of the day under the auspicious eye and tutelage of trainer George Turner. Now, this was a name that I wasn't familiar with, and the book and film give us some great stories from bodybuilding notaries like Phil Williams and Cliff Coons about this legendary gym owner, George Turner. A man cut from similar cloth as brilliant but cantankerous bastards Vince Gironda and Joe Gold. If you so much as clanged a weight in Turner's gym, the ever-vigilant George would announce on the loudspeaker in no uncertain terms what he would do with you if you repeated the same errant lapse in judgment. I thought it was interesting that both George and Tony's Aunt Betty at first appeared as two sides of the same coin, both equally affected by their own traumatic pasts, turning them into abusive tyrants and sadistically inflicting terror on others. But from all accounts, Turner took interest in hard-luck cases like Pearson, taking them under his wing, nurturing them to become better versions of themselves. An abusive bastard all the same, but I guess that era's version of tough love no longer flies in this age of overly sensitive snowflake, entitled lives of kids today. Motivated by a lingering dream to move to California, Pearson leaves on a one-way ticket with all the forethought of any teenage kid, landing himself in even deeper water on arrival. If not for the random kindness of strangers, things could have gone horribly awry for that younger Tony. I'm not one for believing in the law of attraction, energy manifestation, divine providence or things like that, but there's some key moments throughout Tony's story that speaks to the power of luck, meeting hard work and perseverance, taking him to the next level. I think it also speaks to the power of Tony's positivity, maintaining extreme resilience, and in turn attracting the notice and assistance of others. There's young Tony's inspiring schoolyard encounter with his first childhood hero, Muhammad Ali, and his famous brush with Arnold as examples of these serendipitous and life-altering moments. And although I knock on the guy sometimes, Arnold randomly helping the young 19-year-old Pearson with some uplifting words and a kind act of assistance deserves some massive kudos in this case. I won't spoil the story, but huge props to Arnold for going out of his way to pay it forward to this young, down and out kid who just needed the boost of a kind word and a push in the right direction. It's a helpful example for us all. You never know what someone is going through, and a kind word or a bit of help can go a long way towards saving someone from the edge of the abyss. The film serves the dual purpose of delving into Pearson's journey, as well as highlighting the broader history of bodybuilding's impact during the golden era. Like the documentary Dream Big, I love seeing the new, never-before-seen archival footage. Tony looked tremendous back then. It's mind-blowing to think that Tony was so young when he competed in that 1978 Mr. America contest. A mere 21 years old, and his nemesis and rival Ron Tufel was only 22. That contest finale has its own controversial backstory, which was interesting and a story I wasn't familiar with. We also get highlights of some of the pivotal moments in bodybuilding culture, showcasing key players like Joe Weider's influence on the scene. Jerry Brainham, Bill Dobbins, Ed Connors, and Ken Sprague also add their commentary to give a more layered context from those that knew Tony from the time. It would have been nice for the filmmakers to have included some of Tony's contemporaries. He rubbed shoulders with Bill Grant, Arnold, Robbie Robertson, and Ken Waller, well, basically all the guys from that era, so it would have been great for them to weigh in with their anecdotes. There's also an interview with now deceased Eric the Trainer, whose recent tragic demise reflects a sadly ironic counterpoint to Tony's mindset and the importance of addressing mental health issues. The narrative arc of Pearson's story is a testament to Tony's character, an enduring spirit of positivity. Whatever doesn't kill you sometimes makes you stronger, and sometimes it doesn't. Trauma inevitably leaves scars, but sometimes strength is gained from managing that same trauma and transmuting it into something else. The guy kind of reminds me of bodybuilding's version of David Goggins in this respect, and although I'm not a fan of motivational cliches and cheerleading narratives, stories like Tony's and Goggins definitely help others draw strength and inspiration from their lived experiences. To see what Tony went through puts things in perspective, and at the same time shows that even the darkest moments can be overcome if we just keep moving forward, step by step, rep by rep. I think this also speaks to the title of the film, Driven. We often think of drive and motivation as being interchangeable terms, but while motivation provides the internal inspiration or the why to get you moving, drive is the literal fuel required to sustain and accomplish your goals. While most people at 65 are physically broken and hobbling their way to retirement homes, it's impressive to witness Tony's sustained passion for the iron game, especially for drug-tested competition. And speaking of the topic of PEDs, the film touches on the topic briefly, saying it's a ubiquitous and necessary part of the sport in building all of its champions. So credit to the filmmakers for not brushing that obvious elephant in the room to the side. I think it would have been great if they had gone more into Tony's WBF experiences, how he became the face of couples bodybuilding, why he received a lifetime ban from the IFBB, and how he ended up homeless again despite his bodybuilding ascendancy. A few more details would have added more texture to the ups and downs of Pearson's life trajectory. Apart from a few minor gripes with the over-the-top sound design, the unnecessary TikTok effects layered in, some of these modern documentaries need to play it more low-key, without the emphasis on corny dramatics, and let the power of the story speak for itself. But despite those few niggles, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised and relieved that they gave Tony's story due treatment with this film. People who know nothing about bodybuilding could still enjoy the movie based on its narrative merits and personalities alone. The film explains the basics of bodybuilding competition, some of the aspects of training and diet, and it delves into the often lonely struggle, mentally challenging, and unglamorous journey for its competitors. It shows the clear interrelationship of how bodybuilding requires extreme physical and mental strength, while also providing equal measures of physical and mental fortitude that one can draw on when facing life's adversities. So, thanks to Tony and the filmmakers for reminding us why nostalgia has its place, and why I first got into this crazy thing called bodybuilding to begin with. It's disappointing that efforts like this don't get the deserved support, publicity, or promotion. This film won the grand prize of the best documentary feature at the 2023 Golden State Film Festival. So it pisses me off that here today and forgotten tomorrow, idiots like this twit garner 3 million eyeballs, while the true legends of the sport go unnoticed and unsung as fading relics of our collective consciousness. So I encourage people to chip in a few dollars, go out and get the book along with the movie, and support these guys' efforts. Otherwise, the flame of these more inspiring names and era dies with us older guys. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen Driven? What's your favourite Tony Pearson moment? Let me know. Thanks for watching.